How's it going, everybody? Man, we're back on this channel, on this podcast. It has been, geez, I don't know, a couple weeks, 3 weeks or so since we've been here. 1 second. Let me check before we get going here. Make sure my audio is okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. I honestly don't even know what episode number this is. I would have to go and look. But today is Monday, a start to the new week. Hopefully, you guys have been good these last couple weeks. The Super Bowl just ended last night. To be honest with you guys, I watched up to about 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I fell asleep. So I missed everything that kind of happened toward the end of the game and the overtime and all that kind of stuff. That's honestly the first time I did not finish out a Super Bowl. I've been tired from work and multiple other things. So forgive me on that, but the NFL season is officially done. It's officially wrapped up. I'm honestly really glad that it is. It's like I'm glad, but I'm not. Like I'm just kind of more looking forward to the off season a little bit, and I'm going to kind of talk about briefly a little bit of some Steeler off season because Art Rooney last week had a sit down interview with Bob Pompiani about the quarterback room, and he kind of gave his thoughts out there. And then the next day next day or two, he kind of said something else different about the quarterback room. So I don't know. It's like we all kind of know what to expect with him, and with the way this organization has gone for years. Probably just going to play it safe, not do anything that is unseen or unheard of. The Steelers have a very big offseason. I think we all can agree that they have a very big offseason this year. There's a lot of things that can happen. They have to create a lot of cap space, but they can easily do that. The biggest thing happened with Arthur Smith getting hired, and Daniel J and I talked about that on our last podcast 2 weeks ago. I skipped on last week's, guys, because to me there just wasn't enough to talk about, and I just wasn't feeling it mentally to come on and do a show. So forgive me for that. But we'll be back this Wednesday to talk about some of the things that have come out, I believe, on my channel. So keep up to date on that at whatever time between 5 and 7. But it's a big offseason for them. We know this could be their biggest offseason in a long time. I just don't have a lot of optimism that they're ultimately going to do the things that need to get done. Like I personally feel like they're going to go in a way, they'll have some good signings. They'll do what they do in the draft, but I feel like after that, we're all going to sit and say, okay, a few areas got better, but how much better is this team? How much better is this? And I could be completely wrong. They could make some really big splash plays and stuff like that. But as I sit here, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Um, the quarterback position is a very important. We all know that's the most important position in the league, but it's very important to address this offseason, in my opinion. I do not like the idea of just kind of going back with the same quarterback room you had last year. I don't. I don't, especially as you sit here in the AFC. And I know that the Steelers aren't paying a quarterback. I know that they can spend a lot of money elsewhere, but the Steelers have gotten very, very bad quarterback play the last 2 years. So through my lens, if we're going to play the narrative or the idea, let me put it that way, the idea that the Steelers aren't paying a quarterback, and that's going to free them up to go spend some more money elsewhere on the line or defense, whatever. That's all right. That's correct, true. But you have to take into account that sometimes when you have such bad quarterback play, it doesn't ultimately matter, because when you look at good to great quarterback play, that's going to cover some of those areas you weren't really able to cover in the offseason. And with the Steelers, like, yeah, they can definitely make some moves, and I expect them to. I think Omar Khan brings a level of aggressiveness. I think he brings a little bit of a different philosophy with some of the things that he did last year. I would imagine that's kind of how he is. But really, guys, like, how confident are you that after this offseason, we're going to be able to sit here and say, yeah, this is a team that's going to contend? If you're going to kind of play it safe with your quarterback room, I don't see it. I'm not confident in that. Like, I'm not going to say that they're going to be bad, but I think that it'll probably be similar to what we've been seeing. I hope that they address the quarterback situation and think hard about it and are actually open to uh, some different directions, and they're not just going to play it safe. They're not just going to have that intent to do that, that they're going to be open to everything. And Art Rooney talked about that last week where he was asked about it, and he didn't really come out and promote the current quarterback room with like Kenny, Mitch, if they would bring Mason back. He came out and talked about that they're open to making a move, to making a trade if an opportunity is there that makes sense for them to do that. And that was encouraging to hear that because that's something he never really comes out and says, really making a move or making a trade or things like that. You know, we know how the Steelers like to operate, right? We know what they like to do. And then the next day he comes out and says, don't expect us to make a blockbuster trade. So it's kind of a tale of two things. That one night he came out and said, if the opportunity is there, yeah, we would consider making a trade for our quarterback room. The next night he says, don't expect us to make a trade or a blockbuster trade or anything. So I really don't know what he means. I really just hope that he just sees that he's just not inept to anything. And he understands and can really see the frustration. I would imagine he does. But sometimes when you have guys who have been doing things for so long, they do things their own way and they think that that's the way it should always be, and it's not. Times change, mindsets change, ideas change, right? That's the way it goes. It can even be the same thing at workplace. Your boss has been there for 20 years, and the way he does things is the right way in his eyes when there might be able to do some things more differently that are more convenient or easier or better, right? That's how it goes. So I've seen the idea thrown out of Ryan Tannehill coming in and just because he's played for Arthur Smith, but how does that get anybody excited? Let's be honest. If the Steelers would ideally bring in Ryan Tannehill because that's kind of been thrown around, it's not confirmed they have interest in him, but just people talking. How does that get anybody excited? Really, to have a quarterback room of Kenny and Ryan Tannehill? Really? Where does that put you? Who does that put you over? How many teams in the AFC does that ultimately put you over? Not many. That's very, very mediocre at best. Um, that's a terrible idea. That's an absolute terrible idea. I'm on the side of just where, you can't get away with mediocrity quarterback play anymore in the NFL. Back in the day, you were able to win 17 to 14 almost every week if you wanted to. It was a completely different ball game. And we all know that. We all know you got to score points. This offense has struggled to score points for 3 years now. But you can't just sit there and try to continue to do that. Like, you can't. Look at the playoffs. Look at the Super Bowl, right? Look at some of these games the Steelers lost this past year. Look at the way Kenny Pickett played this year. It's bad. It's really bad. I don't know what their plan is with Mason Rudolph. From what I heard yesterday is that he's looking for a fresh start. Don't know how true that is. Wait and see how the market plays off. But even at that point, just my opinion, he doesn't move the needle quite for me. I think he belongs in this league. I think that the jury's still out on him. But I just look at all around the league and it doesn't move me, man. It doesn't move me. It does not move me. And I don't think that there's a lot of options out there anyway right now at quarterback. I think probably the Steelers' best thing to do is to really just try to stack up their roster. Unless they go make a big move for Kirk Cousins or they trade for Justin Fields or something like that. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen. They're probably going to go with Kenny, probably a veteran guy, whoever that is, and a draft pick. That's probably what they're going to do. That's what they like to do. That's their safe route. That's what makes them comfortable. And it doesn't move anybody. How does that move anybody? How does that get you excited for anything? It's just going to be another year of what we've had and what we have been having. And I think that this team has good talent. I think that it's a team that has talent on some talent on the defensive side, some talent on the offense. That if you can add to it a little bit, get certain things right, it's a roster that can make a play, can maybe make a push, but would need at least above average quarterback play. And from those options I read, I just like if you're going to bring in Ryan and have Kenny there, I'm just not too thrilled about it. I'd rather have Mason back, to be honest. But I think that if there's some opportunity there, I just want to see the Steelers be open to that and not be intent on staying safe and staying comfortable. And I hope they do that. I really do. You guys can let me know your opinion in the comment section. What do you guys think should happen with the quarterback room? How confident are you in Art Rooney's comments of him saying that they would be open to making a move, a trade if it makes sense? How confident are you in that? Truly, how confident are you? It's just like when we look at the state of the AFC, like going into last year, there was a lot of excitement that this is going to be the best AFC conference of all time. That this is going to be a juggernaut of a conference. And I knew it wasn't going to happen because injuries happen, teams aren't as good, and that's exactly what went or how it went. Right? We can look at the Chargers disappointed heavily. I knew that would happen. Denver was not as good as people thought was going to happen with Sean Payton coming in. Who else is there? The Jets, Aaron Rodgers injury killed their season. That's 3. The Bengals, Joe Burrow's injury really hurt their season. That's 4 teams. Who else is there? AFC East, AFC West, AFC South. Anybody in the South? I mean, Colts overperformed, but CJ Stroud overperformed. So add that team to the list in terms of their future. Rank them higher in the AFC. But yeah, and now you go into this offseason and these guys are going to be back healthy, and there were a lot of quarterback injuries. It was backup quarterback roulette pretty much in the NFL this year with a lot of teams. And the likelihood of that happening again isn't too high. Quarterbacks are going to come back healthy. These teams are going to be different. Teams are going to be better. And I'm not saying that you need a top end quarterback to be a good team. I'm not saying that, but in today's league, you need at least average quarterback play. And the Steelers didn't have that most of the year. I feel not really until Rudolph kind of came in, gave him some life. So it's just when you kind of if you're gonna put them up, let's say they don't really do much to their quarterback room, they go in with Kenny as the guy, and then they have Mason or Ryan Tannehill or a different veteran as a second quarterback. How confident does that make you against these other AFC teams? You look at Houston, right? Their future's bright. Joe Burrow's coming back. We don't really know how the Browns are gonna be with Watson, so that's kind of wait and see, but they have a good roster. Baltimore, right? They came off a great year other than choking in the playoffs again. The Chargers, how are they going to be with Jim Harbaugh now? Chiefs, of course. Anthony Richardson's going to be back for the Colts. Like I said, the Texans you add there. Jacksonville still won 9 games, but I understand with Lawrence, it's not really quite there. But that's about 9 teams I just went through, guys. Who else am I missing? Bills, Jets, Dolphins. That's what, 12 already? That's already 12 teams in the AFC. It's just concerning to me if the Steelers are just going to stay pat. They can make some moves and maybe make a couple big ones, do their draft, and say, yeah, like they have a good roster. But the concern is being able to score the points. The concern is the quarterback, right? I think that's probably what it would be like if the Steelers keep what they got at quarterback and they sign some guys in free agency and overall have a confident draft. I think we're all kind of sitting like, yeah, like this is a roster that's good all around that got better. But the concerns with the quarterback play, how good's it going to be? How much is it going to be able to elevate, right? The offense. And it would be a wait and see, but I think most of us would be on the same page. Yeah, we would be concerned. So, but let's say the Steelers go out and maybe take a different direction at quarterback. I think that would bring some more excitement. I think that brings some more interest. I think that you would have somebody with some more higher upside than what you currently got. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. I've said before, they need to go in a different direction. They need to be aggressive about their quarterback situation. If there's one or two opportunities there, excuse me, to do that, you do it. If not, then okay, then you go down the direction of you try to stack your roster, right? So that's kind of the thing. We know the Steelers don't like to rebuild. We know that they're not going to have bad seasons, really, especially consecutive ones. So that's the path they're going to take, which I do appreciate as a fan because you can look around all the other organizations out there that just can't figure it out and are just rebuild city. I appreciate that as a fan that they do have the mindset to win every year, to be competitive. But at the same time, to acquire top talent, um, you either need to be aggressive in your free agency or in your trade market, or then you'll have to move up in the draft. If you're going to be in the middle of the pack or toward the end of the draft every year, there might be a year every here and there you might have to do that. So I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen, but if they're going to kind of keep the status quo, I mean that's probably I think how a lot of people will feel. If they're going to keep the status quo with that room, I think a lot of people will kind of feel about that. So it's either one, you go in a different direction and you're open to all your options, or two, even if you are that and maybe those options don't open up or you're just stubborn and want to stay safe, then you're going to have to stack your roster and hope that whoever your quarterback is going to be able to flourish with Arthur Smith there. Um, so I don't know, guys. That's my take on it, on what Art Rooney's comments on kind of the kickstart of this offseason and really in terms of where the Steelers could find themselves at, depending what direction they go. My opinion on it, I'd say probably most of you guys share a similar opinion. So we'll see. It's their biggest offseason in quite a while. I hope they're aggressive. I hope they really truly recognize and read the room of the AFC and really realize that and just really have that intention on being open to different opportunities if they're there. Whatever you got to do to get yourself better. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, guys. I'm gonna head off here. Thank you all for your support. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections, your opinions about where things stand on Art Rooney's comments. How confident are you that the Steelers would actually maybe be open to doing something like that? I don't know. We'll see, guys. Take care.